Now imagine you haven't eaten for 2 days and suddenly there is this gorgeous chocolate cake sitting in front of you. Not only do you want it, you're probably salivating at the sides of your mouth. And that is exactly how the interviewer is going to feel when they listen to your answer to their question, why should we hire you? Coming up! Hey everyone, welcome back to Supercharge. My name is Sonal, an HR director, and this channel is all about sharing practical tips on how to supercharge your career. So, why should we hire you is my favorite question by far, and there are three reasons for it. The first reason is the answer to this question says a lot about how you sell yourself, how you persuade someone to do something, how do you convince them, how do you influence them, and every single job needs that. The second reason I ask this question is if I'm not really sure about a candidate, I'm on the fence, the answer to this question can help me tilt in one or the other direction. And the third reason I ask this question, very honestly, I realized, oops, it's the end of the interview and I forgot to ask that strengths question because I want to know how well they know themselves. This is an opportunity for me to do that. And this question can be asked in multiple ways. Why do you feel you are the best person for this job? What makes you think you are the right fit for this job? Tomato, tomato, it's exactly the same thing. And today I'm going to teach you an approach that will really up your game in terms of how you approach this. Not only how you answer it, but how you approach this question. So the key to answering this question is understanding what is your USP, your unique selling proposition, something that you're good at and others not so much. And in order to understand more about USP, let's geek out a little bit in a marketing lesson. So we've got an interviewer and they are looking for something, and we've got you, and this is what you're good at. In the perfect world, the overlap between the two is what is the zone of success. However, I wish it were that simple. You know it isn't, because there's a third factor, which is the competing candidates. The competing candidates come into the picture in the geeky Venn diagram, and there you see they're also good at something, and maybe they're better at something as opposed to you. And we are not going to be focusing on that, but we need to be mindful of it. The zone in red is what I call the zone of failure. However, the zone of success, which is the green, which we saw in the beginning, is where we want to focus all our efforts on, because the zone of equality is what competing candidates are good at, and what you're good at, who cares, right? And the zone of irrelevance is everything in gray, which basically doesn't necessarily help you towards the preparation of the interview. Now, the zone of equality is typically when the answers to questions are so monotonous, so rehearsed, that everyone looks the same to an interviewer. For example, why should we hire you for this position? I'm very hardworking, I'm very organized. I'm like yawning just, thinking about when people are answering to this question. You don't want to do that. You want to stand out. And how do we stand out? I have an approach. And the name of the approach is the Kennedy approach. My approach has a name? Of course it does. You should know me better. You remember what John F. Kennedy said? Ask not what your country can do for you, ask what you can do for your country. Let's flip that, let's supercharge it. Ask not what your company can do for you, ask what you can do for your company. Now let's break this down into three. There's the company or the position, there's you, and there's do. And let's look at these three in a little bit more detail. The position or the company has a job description, and you read the job description, but you don't read it once. You should read it 4 to 5 times. Because when you do, you will read between the lines and see there is a gap, there is a pain area. And that is why they need someone to fill this position. Your job should be, how can I fill their gap? How can I cure their pain so that they love me? And to do that, you need to look a little bit deeper into your strengths that you know you're good at. The second thing to keep in mind is when we say ask what you can do for your company, remember the word only. Only you can do this. This makes you unique and nobody else. For example, they need someone with business analysis experience, but you happen to be also very good at writing, and you know that these skills are going to help when the time comes to synthesize very complicated information and make it easy to understand for anybody in the audience. Or you have an MBA but you also are an engineer, so you're very strong in analytical thinking. Or you have a lot of experience in strategy but you're also comfortable with tactical, rolling up the sleeves and getting your hands kind of dirty approach. People love that sort of stuff. Think about stuff that lands you into the green zone, because that will help you to stand out. And please don't say you don't have any of those skills. We all do. We're all unique in that sense. We're not robots. The third thing to remember when we say in the Kennedy approach is ask what you can do. The do, there it's important to not just say, I'm really good at this, I am very strong in this. It's like blah, blah, blah. People say this a lot. Prove it. Show it. How? Two ways. Number one, show it through stories. Give examples, lots of examples. And the second, I know examples are common. The second is bring something physical to the meeting. I've interviewed like 5,000 people in 15 years. I can tell you less than 1% of this bunch of people has actually brought something to the meeting saying, in this position, I had an opportunity to do this and I have a sample for you. And obviously you need to ensure that it's not something confidential that you cannot share. If it's a position in, a designer position, you can talk about, I designed this advertising campaign, or, something that you did in finance and the deal was done because of your background in M&A. You can share that if it's already public. I've talked about this in another video where we talk about interview preparation. I will link that somewhere in the description. So that's it. That's the Kennedy approach. Before I conclude, I'd like to share 3 tips that I think will help you stay on course. The first tip is, in your head, think bullet points. When you're asked this question, think 1, 2, 3, and those are the reasons they should hire me. It will help you stay organized in your head. The second thing is, humility is a trait that is really valued, and I personally do not like candidates who are arrogant and who think they are the best thing that happened to this world since sliced bread. However, this question is almost like giving you permission to show what a rock star you are. So take that opportunity. Don't be shy and don't be modest. This is not the time to do that. The third thing I wanted to say is, it can happen that it's the end of the interview and they didn't ask you about your strengths. They didn't ask you about why they should hire you. Maybe they forgot it. It's possible. So, in the end, when they say, would you have any questions for me? Take that opportunity and say, yes. In fact, I'd like to share about this that I have done. And I am so glad that you asked me this question. And these are the reasons why I think I'm the right fit, and super excited about this position. So that's it. That's the Kennedy approach. Think company, position, gaps. What are their gaps? Because there's a reason this position exists. Secondly, think how only you and no one else is an answer to their prayers, because you have something unique to offer. And finally, stories. Show and tell. Bring something physical if you can to the meeting. Bring examples, but also bring specimens of your work which show you don't just talk, but you also do. And with that 3-step approach, I can guarantee you they're going to look at you the way a starving person looks at a gorgeous chocolate cake sitting in front of them. Thank you so much for watching, and if this was helpful, goes without saying, give it a thumbs up. I would appreciate it. Share it with your friends. If you haven't subscribed already, what are you waiting for? There's plenty more where this came from, so do that, and I shall see you in the next video. Ciao!